Come what may, bring it on. I'm gonna love it.
Welcome to LDS Unmarried podcast. This is Annette Bybee. I'm your host, and this podcast is for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who happen to be single because of divorce, widow, or not yet married. And there's no affiliation with the church. And so, you can find my podcast on AnnetteTalks.com as well as iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and one other place I can't remember right now. Today I am joined by comedian Steve Soelberg, who also happens to be LDS and single. Say hi, Steve.
Yeah, I fit that criteria.
You know what's funny is that when I was thinking about doing these interviews, I was thinking I was going to call it Super Single Spotlight, and then I realized that my first guest was going to be Steve Soelberg. And I thought, I can't do Super Single Spotlight with Steve Soelberg. That sounds really silly.
I mean, it's a lot of S's. It's great.
Very alliterative.
It's hard to say it 3 times fast, really. Super Single Spotlight with Steve Soelberg. I'm actually from Seattle as well.
Oh, no.
I mean, I live in Salt Lake now, so.
Oh, that's silly.
Yeah, it is silly. Another S word. Did you do that? Just to be. All right.
Anyway, this is going to be a fun interview. All right, so I know you from my sister. I didn't meet you until last night, actually, at your show. Your show was great, by the way.
Thank you.
Very funny. I had seen some of the material before, but I noticed you added some stuff to your massage bit. That was great. The only time my big experience with massage is actually falling asleep and then waking up drooling.
Wow.
It was a great massage.
That's super relaxing. I don't.
Super.
That's interesting. So is it nice to fall asleep doing it?
It's awesome.
Really?
You just wake up all
relaxed. And do you wake up more relaxed? Your body...
The only thing I'd be questioning is, was she still working while I was asleep?
Yeah, I would wonder. Yeah, if they go, okay, they just start phoning it in, you know, and you're done.
Feel free to use that. Anyway, I never met you before last night, and so I don't really know you, but you did know, or you were friends with Jane, my sister.
Yeah, I know Jane. We went to college together at BYU Hawaii.
Jane Graves, who used to be Mashler, right?
We were singers.
You were, all right.
Yeah.
Together.
And you guys are sisters. So where do you fit in the lineup? In the kid lineup there,
are you trying to ask me
Jane?
Who's older between the two of us?
Who's older between the two?
I don't know, Steve. Who do you think?
I'm gonna guess Jane.
Oh, you are so smart. I don't care what Jane says.
Jane's so cool.
She is.
Where does she live now? No, that's sorry.
Shout out to Jane in Midland, Texas.
Midland, Texas.
Yeah, and
we're going there.
Yeah, she wrote this music that you hear at the beginning and end of my podcast.
Cool.
Music, so she's very talented, and she told me a few stories. Like for instance, when she and I were roommates back in California, I think maybe it started in Arizona. Anyway, she came home one day and said she wanted to try this thing called Light Fixture Theater.
Oh my gosh. Jane, did you try Light Fixture Theater? Light Fixture Theater is one of my favorite things.
Tell us about it.
Okay, I haven't done Light Fixture Theater in years. That is so funny. So Light Fixture Theater is a play on slideshows. Because when we grew up, we were shown slideshows in school. And slideshows would always be connected to like music or a story, and the way that you would know to switch in between the slides was a tone, and it was doot, always that tone, and then that meant you would turn the slide to the next image. And so Light Fixture Theater works you have to go into a bedroom that you can make completely dark, and then you stand by the light switch, and you start telling a story. And it can be whatever, like Jane and Steve were singers in college. Doot. And you then flick on the light and flick it off. And people get this image of you, and you could be posing as a singer. You'd be, ah! And so it's a real quick, doot, and you flick the lights on and off. And they enjoyed singing in different musicals like Lion King and Les Miserables. And then you would do another pose. And so when the lights are off is when you're making your pose, but you're also telling your story. And and you flick it on and off. I don't know why. It is so funny to me. It was.
We used to do that.
You did
we
light
put our
fixture
friends
theater?
around and do it. Yeah, Jane taught us how to do it.
Oh, I love light fixture theater. I haven't done it in years, and I think it's because people don't know slideshows. It's not as much familiar with
Yeah, that's true. But it's still funny. I mean, I think people still think it's funny.
Oh, man. I tried to do it on stage years ago.
Oh.
And so I rigged up a light that I could do with a remote control and everything, and was like, and thought it was funny, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I if I can make life more simple, I'm going to do that. So now I just tell jokes with my voice. So a lot easier.
Yeah. Simple Steve Soelberg.
Yeah,
Seattle.
I like it.
Salt City.
Who likes simple things and studied science in college.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Science in college.
Oh, cool.
Something else that Jane told me, I didn't realize that you had gone to BYU Idaho.
Yeah.
And she said that you told her that when you were there, you had this thing you would do with your backpack where you would drop it.
Oh, no. It was similar to that. It was, I would trip and throw my books.
On purpose.
At a specific location and time.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
Monday, Wednesday at 9:01 inside of the Taylor building. AM, yeah. It was on my way to class. And you would say 9, but I was always late. So
yeah, I encountered that this morning.
9:01.
Anyway.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, I should look for you at 9:01.
It was not, yeah, that's true. We were supposed to be in the lobby at 9, and I was there.
I think it was about 9:08. Not that I was looking.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
So Taylor building.
I would trip. Yeah, I would fake trip and throw. I don't know why I did it either. I loved it. As stupid as it is. And one guy caught on. So one guy was like, a lot of people trip there. And he went and investigated the carpet, and he's like, there's nothing. And then he's like, that guy trips there.
Not a lot of people.
Not a lot of people.
Just you.
Just me. At a specific time.
Frequently.
On my way to class, Monday, Wednesday, 9:01 a.m., I decided to trip.
Wait, did it happen on accident once or something?
No.
No.
The first it started because my roommate was studying there. And I was on my way to class, and I saw him studying there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to trip right next to my friend, and it'll be funny, because he'll be like, oh, someone tripped, and I'll look and see it was me. And so that's why I did it the first time. And then the second time it was like, oh, there's Nick. He's studying there again. So I tripped again. And Nick started bringing friends.
Oh, no.
He was inviting people
Your
to
first
come.
audience is what you're saying.
Yes, yeah. It was my first audience. So he was inviting friends to come watch me trip. And but then this guy that we didn't know had became a fan of the tripping. And he started filming it.
Oh, no.
And made a mini documentary called Why Does He Trip? And then on the last day of class, I found myself in this big group of people walking to class, and was like, oh, wow, am I going to miss, people going to miss my trip? And all of a sudden, this group of people that I'm walking with all tripped.
Oh, no, seriously?
They all, yeah.
That's awesome.
And so then I was like, what's happening? And I tripped, and it was my tripping fan club.
Oh my gosh.
The people who had been watching all semester, and they all walked with me and tripped.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was.
You didn't see that coming?
No, I didn't at all. It was so funny and very creative of them to.
How many times do you think you tripped?
I mean, how long is the semester? 9 weeks, so at least 18 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Something little became something pretty big.
It was fantastic. It was. I've never been able to recreate it.
No, because
Yeah.
you can't. Something like that is totally spontaneous. Just Like some of the funniest things, Jane and I get together and you don't plan it. Just stuff starts happening, you know?
Yeah. I remember this now, talking with Jane about this, because Jane wanted me to fake trip. Because of all the practice I had, I got pretty good at it.
Uh-huh.
And I could
Chevy Chase.
fall pretty hard without hurting myself.
Right.
I am not at that level anymore.
That was back in your good old days.
Good old tripping days. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to do that when Jane and I will be going to a restaurant, you know, and how they do the whole, watch your step while you're going down the stairs. Whoever's in front is the one that trips. One of us will always trip. And the waitress is always like,
On purpose.
Oh, yeah. Every time.
That's hilarious.
So when we go to a restaurant, if there are stairs and there's a waitress, one of us is
that says watch your step.
Yeah.
And you go,
oh, yeah, just like Jane with a hot plate. Inevitably, we'll be at Mexican or something, and the waitress will bring in a hot plate. No, don't touch the plate. Jane, right away.
She grabs it.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And they're like, I just told you, you idiots.
It's always good times.
That's so funny. I love it.
So I'm not surprised you guys were friends.
Yeah.
Same silly sense of humor.
Of course.
So, so it sounds like you've been into this whole comedy thing for a long time.
Yeah, I certainly into being silly for a long time. And then I didn't know that comedy would be my job for sure.
What did you think was going to be your job?
I thought I would go to medical school and do something along those lines. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, or otherwise known as a narcissist.
Yeah. So are you still a narcissist?
I mean, now I'm a comedian, so yes.
Yeah, I always wonder about that.
If it's the same thing.
No, like how many, this is kind of a little off topic, but how many of you performers, and you don't have to include yourself, but maybe the other guys, how many are you think are genuine narcissists?
I'd say about half. I don't know. It might be more than that. The funny thing is most comics I know are actually very genuine and very nice. I've met a few that it's like, wow, I cannot have you stop talking about yourself soon enough.
So, can you want to name names?
No. Name names who don't talk about themselves?
No, who do talk about themselves.
Do talk about themselves. Oh, no. I mean, I definitely know who. I have a few in mind right now. But yeah, like the nice ones who don't talk about themselves are... I'm doing a show with one of my buddies this weekend, Ryan Hamilton. Nicest guy ever.
Is he the happy face? Okay.
Yeah, has a Netflix special.
Yeah.
Great. Kermit Apio from Seattle, Washington. Gary Goldman, also a New York guy. Genuine. Very just nice to the core. Maria Bamford is very nice. She's out of LA, and I did a show with her a long time ago. She probably doesn't even remember me, but I had done a couple of shows with her, and she's like, "What are you doing? How you been? What are you up to?" And I said, "Well, I've been taking a break from comedy." And she's like, "That's so great, so healthy, good job." And it's like, "What? You're so cool." And she, went and got my dinner and was just the sweetest, nicest person. So most comics, a lot of my interactions have been non-narcissistic, very serving type people.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is really cool. And so I try to, if I can, I'm going to try to emulate that. Because it's like, oh yeah, they're the comics that I look up to. So.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be easy to go the other direction, and because you're on stage and it's all about marketing yourself and everything, it would be easy to sort of get sucked into that.
You know, and that is something that most recently I've gone through, and that will eat you alive, that type of behavior, the narcissism, because there's no end to it. Right. There is no sating your narcissist. There's no like, and I'm done. You did it. You're happy now. Right. We were talking a little bit about this before, the social media stuff. Yeah. Because it is not to say it's narcissist. Well, it can be. It's a version of it, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's the validation from other people that you're getting. And I came to this internal conclusion the other day that I realized I was seeking validation from other people in my relationships that was really tanking them. I was seeking validation in my career that could be super detrimental and dangerous. And just in every outside source that wasn't going to be stable and that wasn't going to matter. And I finally realized, oh my gosh, I have worth that is not changed whether I have a good show, a good relationship, or a bad show or a bad relationship. My worth doesn't go up or down. It is the same. And realizing that and valuing myself is just because this is an LDS podcast, I love that I can speak freely. It's just a son of God. That is the most valuable thing in the universe, to be able to recognize your divine nature and relationship to divinity is very, like, suddenly your worth and everyone else's worth in the whole world is like elevated, and then you just go, oh, I can live again.
You can be happy even if you're not getting a lot of likes on Facebook. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. What do you realize when you really feel that and go, oh, that's what's most important? And I have to we talked about this again before, I have to constantly remind myself of that, because it is so easy to get wrapped up and go, did this person like this? Mm-hmm. Am I engaging, and do people like what I've done? It's like, nah, who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at all.
And here, I thought that was an age thing, so I'm finally getting to that point in my own life where it's like, you know what? I am so done with caring what other people think, right? Is it something that I want? Is it genuine to me? Am I being genuine? Am I being true to myself? And that's like way more important than anything else. Like, I would think with your show, you have to kind of be careful to not be like, well, what's going to get the most laughs, right? I mean, don't you want to be like, what's the most like genuine to see?
Yeah. Yeah, you do have to learn to write on being true to yourself.
Right.
Because when I first started doing stand-up, I was desperate for that laugh. And it felt very, like, elusive a little bit, because it was like, okay, I think this is funny, but does everyone think that's funny? Oh, maybe they're going to think it's dumb. And then I watch what other comedians are doing. Oh, they're getting laughs, making fun of this person, thing, whatever. So then you start writing on these themes. And I eventually had to kind of rein myself in and go, oh, you're going to write more along some of these themes. And if it makes you laugh, that's what's most important. If you think it's funny, then go for it.
Yeah.
Like, I do a joke about... I have a retainer in my mouth, and I do a joke about my tongue touching my retainer, and I was like, I think that's really funny, and it was a hard joke to do, because I was like, no one's gonna think this is funny. Nobody else is going through this.
Well, I have a bonded retainer on my bottom teeth as well.
Yeah.
So I did think that was funny.
Yeah, and you've gone through it.
Yeah, I can feel it. Now that you've brought it up, I can totally feel it with my tongue.
Yeah.
But,
yeah,
I think you really have to do whatever is, like, just really genuine to you, because otherwise you're just copying other people, you know?
Right.
Like, that's one of the reasons I did not listen to any of your other podcasts, so I don't know if you could be doing the exact same thing. I don't know. But
so far, this is new.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Hey, see?
This is great.
I did not want to fall into that trap of, well, how do other people handle this? You know, or what other questions did other people ask? Or I didn't want that. I wanted it to be like, well, what feels like original to me, and, you know, what I know from past information from Jane, and what am I curious about Steve? And I don't want you to feel like you're just doing some rote, you know, interview either, like you've done 1,000 times before.
Yeah, and it's better. It's better to be in the moment and real and all that. Yeah.
And I didn't mean to take you away from your really deep discussion earlier. I think that's awesome, because we do have to remind ourselves kind of on a regular basis where our self-worth comes from.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's easy to, like, in this world of distractions and addictions, it's like people forget who they are, so they start looking for something to distract them. Or, well, addiction.
Wow.
Let's remember that addiction we were talking about a little bit on the way over here. I saw one of your videos where you were giving a talk, and you said you had performance addiction.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I want to know, like, this kind of segues us back to how you got where you are at in your career right now.
The performance addiction.
Yeah, because, there's some of us like me who feel that a little bit, like this kind of need to be broadcasting myself, hence the podcast.
Yeah.
And so, I'm trying to make a transition from like a regular career to like some sort of entertainment career.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really curious to hear your evolution from pre-med to stand-up guy.
I mean, when I think of the performance addiction thing, I didn't realize this until years later. So when I wasn't performing regularly, I would do weird things that
to get attention, or
to perform, And I had been practicing singing and had learned how to, and if you're a singer, you know what I'm talking about. I had learned how to kind of get into a belt voice.
Oh.
And I had never explored that. And then I felt it, and I went, this is incredible. I really enjoy belting when I can sing. And so I come home, and my roommate is sitting at the table with a girl that, I mean, it was a date. I don't know that they were dating, but it was a date. And
or ready-made audience.
Yeah, I know. I should have gone to my bedroom and been like, hi, bye. Instead, I was like, check out what I just discovered. And I sing. It was Christmas time, so I sang some like Christmas song. And they were like, oh, that's very good. Thank you. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Okay, bye.
So the polite face going.
Yeah. I didn't realize until years later that was incredibly weird. It's like, yeah, you don't need to sing for people on the spot. But I didn't know that I needed this. I needed to be performing, And so when I went to BYU Hawaii, I was studying biology and doing all the pre-med requirements, and but also doing musical stuff. And that's how I got to know Jane. We were in some choirs together, and then we did some musical theater together and did a group called Opera a la carte, where we would just pick musical pieces and perform them with dance. And the feeling of having a show and preparing for a show and going out on stage was fantastic. I loved it. And I don't even know why I love it still. I mean, I know I do. I don't know why I feel a need to do it. And if you have it, you get it. If you don't, you go, that sounds terrifying.
No, I get it, because this is going to sound kind of dumb, but I had a calling to teach gospel doctrine for like 3 years. And I loved it. Right? I love getting up in front of the class, aka audience, right?
Yeah.
Twice a month for like 3 years, and it was awesome. And then I moved to a new ward, and they called me to teach like the 14-year-olds in this little tiny room, and I was like, I miss being in front of people, right? And then the ward split and moved again, and I was like, please let me get that calling back. And I got the calling back. I'm like, yeah, I'm in front of people again. So I know it's dumb. It's just like every other week in front of like 20 people teaching gospel doctrine. But there's something about being in front of people and expressing myself. So I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah, just feels awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for you. I think it gives you like a little bit of a workout of okay, I got to, it makes you thinking inside of your head about just that.
There's some discomfort when you get started, and then...
Yeah, and that is great.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that moment where you go, am I going to do this? Am I going to pull this off?
Right.
And you don't know. You might not.
Right.
And there's that uncertainty is part of it.
Right.
Part of the fun of it, I think.
So you were at BYU Hawaii, and you were doing these musicals, and then but you were studying biology. Did you finish your biology degree?
I did, yeah.
And then
Oh, and then I went to I had a brother living in Logan, Utah, and a friend. So I was a cross country runner as well. That was sort of what brought me to Hawaii. And one of my old teammates, who had also studied biology, was working in a lab in Logan, Utah. It was like, hey, we're doing this really cool research. I think you'd really enjoy it. It's some neurology. It was some brain stuff. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I applied to go work at this lab, moved to Logan, lived with my brother. The lab lost their grant. So then I ended up working at a fast food spaghetti restaurant.
Oh, no. We're not going to say the name of it. I think I know. I think I can guess.
Yeah, it was so stupid.
That's really hard to imagine.
I remember a 9-year-old telling me, is this what you do for your life?
Oh, no.
And I had just graduated, and I was feeling very important about that,
Right.
you know? And I was like, well, I got my degree in molecular biology, but yes, this is what I'm doing for a living. And he's like, what do I know? I'm 9.
Did he really say that?
He did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which I was like, that's
Self-aware
funny.
kid.
Yeah, he was. Smart little 9-year-old. But yeah, so then I worked at a few labs, but wasn't making a ton of money. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to go back to school. I should start taking MCATs and doing all this. And I don't know why, but I was hesitating. I do have that bad habit that I feel like I'm getting better at it, but when I'm afraid of something, sometimes I kind of freeze. And I think I was freezing, which is funny. I don't think I'm realizing that until right now. But I went and read my patriarchal blessing and was trying to figure out what kind of career I needed to do. And it talked about using your talents. So I wrote down all of my talents. And one of the first ones I wrote down was, I think I have a sense of humor. And I think I'm creative. And so I thought, okay, well.
And you can trip well.
And I can trip well. I'm good at tripping. So yeah, I thought I'd start writing jokes. I actually thought I'd be a cartoonist, not a comedian. Like Gary Larson was one of my favorite, The Far Side.
Can you draw?
I drew a lot as a kid, and so I started practicing drawing more, and I decided I needed to learn how to write jokes. So I went to open mic at Wise Guys, which is actually, before my first open mic, I met my friend Ryan Hamilton, who's a great, amazing stand-up comic. And he's like, yeah, I do comedy. And I was like, what? My mind was blown. I was like, can we be best friends? I don't think I said that, but I wanted it.
Right.
And and did my first open mic. And that feeling of being on stage, all of it came rushing back, and I was kind of hooked. And Ryan was very helpful. And he said, just do what you want with this. It doesn't have to be your career. Just do whatever you want. And I really didn't think it would be my career. I still thought I'd do other things, but
I'm guessing the MCATs never happened.
They did not. No. It just enough comedy opportunities came that it was like, oh, I'm actually losing money if I stay working my regular job. So I just let that go about 3 years ago. And
oh, okay, 3 years ago. All right.
Yeah. So full-time comedy is newer. And I mean, I say let that go.
What were you doing up until then to supplement?
I started doing a lot of MC work. So I was doing MC work at like corporate events.
Oh, okay.
Or Ragnar running races.
Oh,
I was
right.
working for them. I did a variety of running races for a while. I was the MC for a zombie run. I was an MC for one of those the Color Me Rad runs where they throw the color everywhere, and I still do some of the Ragnars. I'll do about 5 of them.
So it's still kind of a comedy. I mean, are you being kind of
You're
funny?
talking
when you do that,
into a microphone, being funny.
Right.
Yeah, it's
So-
not necessarily doing my jokes, but it's just And the goal is, of course, to do just comedy. So that has been my training wheels for sure, because it is hard to quit your day job and just and have a new world completely accept you and go, I'm a comedian now, and people go, I don't know who you are. So I needed something to supplement and help as that transition was going.
So what does your career look like right now? I mean, what's a typical week look like?
it's funny. Every week changes so much, but there'll be some shows in there, be it a corporate show or like a corporate show would be just like a show that I come in and do for a company.
Right.
And then, or a show at a comedy club, or I do colleges and stuff like that. This week is somewhat atypical because I'm on a tour right now with the Drybar comedy series. However, it's funny because talking with the tour manager, I mean, it's like dates are getting added left and right. So
Wow.
this might end up being a more typical thing. I really enjoy it a lot.
Well, Drybar seems to be really successful. I mean, I see them all over Facebook, so it seems to be kind of an up and coming. Does that just mean that it's like clean comedy?
They've done well. Yeah. We're trying to see if we can rebrand the name. But it's always such a challenge once you're already successful with one name.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Drybar, a lot of people take it like that it's dry comedy, like a ironic type of thing,
Right.
which I don't know that my comedy is necessarily dry.
No.
But
Sometimes, but no.
yeah,
I
sometimes.
wouldn't classify it 100% dry. No.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine with people assuming that.
And the guy before you, what was his name last night?
Alex.
Yeah, he had a lot of
Bluto.
water jokes, so.
A lot of water jokes. Yeah, Alex is so funny. He's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, he was pretty funny.
Oh man. Yeah, so they're successful, and the challenge also in that is finding my own name beyond that, and so there's a lot.
So what I'm wondering then is, so you've established now you have regular work.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see yourself going in the future with it, or like what are your dreams or aspirations if you could be doing anything you want, say 10 years from now? Where would that be?
I mean, I want to do just stand up. I love
Like a headliner like Ryan?
I love
okay.
doing a Netflix special, doing the theater shows. That's what I would really love to do, is doing stand up theater shows. I think acting is in there, not because I necessarily. I mean, I enjoy acting and I enjoy that process and stuff like that. There's part of me that, because there's a lot of actors who become comedians, and vice versa. I think some of it is because the exposure is just so much better.
Right.
People go, oh, I know him from such and such show or whatever, and I think it just helps you get out there. It's hard. Getting your name out there is probably one of the biggest, most important things for people to. It sounds silly, but people don't really go to see funny. They go to see famous.
Yeah.
Which can be disappointing.
Yeah, because fame doesn't always equate funny.
It doesn't,
and
right.
vice versa.
Exactly.
But I'm sure there are a lot of really hardworking, really funny guys that never become headliners.
Right. Tons
But that
of
won't
funny.
be you, of course.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So do you ever see yourself like writing for movies or writing for TV or?
Yeah, I mean, I've written a couple commercials.
Okay.
And so I'd love to do more writing as well. I love good writing. I've been addicted to The Good Place right now.
I know, it's awesome.
TV show. Yeah. And I just think, the writing here is so funny.
Yeah,
and I was talking with Alex about that last night, and he goes, oh yeah, they're the same guys who wrote The Office, Parks and Rec. What was it? They also wrote Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay, I never saw that one.
So funny.
Really?
But I mean, it just made sense when I realized that it's like, so Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Office, Parks and Rec, The Good Place. These are the same people. And
it's such tight writing on The Good Place. It's amazing, really. I had to stop letting my girls watch it though because it's a little
racy
edgy,
sometimes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But it's great writing. I love it. So this is something like my girls wanted me to ask you. You know, I have a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, and almost 8-year-old, and we all are addicted to Studio C. So do you ever do anything with BYU Broadcasting, or have you ever met that cast, or is there any connection at all?
I haven't done anything with BYU Broadcasting, but I'm good friends with a few of the cast members.
Really?
Yeah. Jeremy and I are friends.
Really?
And so
that's awesome.
So by a few, I mean Jeremy. I'm friends with
He counts
Jeremy.
as two now. Huh?
I've done like some things with some of the other cast and stuff. I don't even know if they would be like, oh yeah, I know Steve. They'd probably be like, who are you? But
I just wondered how tight knit the LDS like comedy circle is.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I do so much like comedy club stuff, I think sometimes people are very hesitant about comedy clubs because most stand-up comedy is actually kind of dirty.
Yeah.
And so I think they don't necessarily go, that's not a safe place.
Right.
And
well, that's what's so cool about
Drybar.
I mean, I avoid it too unless I know ahead of time.
Sure.
I see Drybar. I've seen them all over Facebook. I've seen a lot of the bits, so I know that they're going to be clean. And so, yeah, I saw a lot of members there last night. Saw some
really?
people from my ward that I didn't know were going, and there were like 12 or 15 of us singles in our group that showed up. So
I could feel that. That was a very supportive audience.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, I wish I could have done more time.
Well, our little group was going to be like, Steve, whatever. I'm like, yeah, they're going to kick us out if we get too rowdy. So it's not.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And it felt, it's funny because I say that I try to like have my own sense of self-worth and not worry about what other people think. And that includes even that moment when you're on the stage. But man, when I felt so supported last night, it made it so like I could kind of mess around with the audience and joke with them and have that interaction, and that felt really cool.
That's cool. Can you see the audience very well from?
Not at all.
No? Okay,
No.
I wondered if you could like see people laughing or smiling or.
Maybe the front row.
Okay.
But that with it being the sort of the theater seating that it was, it's even harder.
Right.
Just because the lights are. So I could see some of the front row, but then I think I tended to look around. I didn't really look at the front row that much.
So it's not super interactive, but you can feel it?
That's right. Yeah, you can feel the give back
Really?
from the audience. And comedy, especially stand-up, is very much breathing out a joke. The audience breathing, I guess if you're breathing in, you can breathe out. Yeah, you breathe out a joke, they breathe in, laughs, something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it has that sort of wave-like feel of the breath.
Yeah, that makes me want to try it sometime.
Yeah, it's
scary,
fun.
Scary as all get out.
And yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, if you tell a joke, you for sure expect and want that laugh wave to hit you. And when it doesn't, you go, it feels like you're holding your breath. Like
So do you just like transition to the next one then if that doesn't?
Yeah. You go, oh, okay, no oxygen, got to get another
hit.
Keep going.
Not that we want to keep talking about addictions, right? Like we're getting hits from the audience and all.
Yeah.
But I get it.
You can address it. Some people address it. Conan O'Brien, he's the best at
addressing the lemons, pointing out that he just fell on his face with a joke.
Yeah. That's when he shines.
Right. No, that's funny. The best. When someone can do that, that's because we like to see vulnerability in other people, but not in ourselves, which people forget. I'm a big Brene Brown fan. So,
me too.
She talks about that and how you should be vulnerable because people love it.
Yeah. And
so I think that's one of the reasons we like stand-ups so much, because you guys are up there like talking about your vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Like, not like in the firm massage, right?
You bare your soul a little bit.
Yeah.
And that makes, it's a connection. I try to tell people that the most important thing in comedy is connection. And what that means is you are being open to people, and then and people get to feel like they can open up to you.
Right.
And that's where they feel comfortable laughing. Like before the show last night, I went out into the audience and said hi to people and shook hands and stuff like that. And that's important to me because I want people to feel like I'm not some kind of distant performer that's unreachable or whatever. Not that anybody feels that way, but we don't know.
We sometimes do. I'm sure you've experienced that when you watched other performers, right? Haven't you kind of felt that a little bit? Even though you are a performer, you probably still feel a little bit like that person's up there and I'm down here and
I can't
he's
talk
above
to them.
me or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas right now you are fully within touching distance. I could actually touch you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good. You could be like, okay, there's Steve.
Steve just touched me on the leg. FYI. So, no, I totally get that. And I can't remember where I read it, Jordan Peterson, I think, you know who he is? He's a psychologist, but he's totally wrote this awesome book. Okay. And he's been on all the shows and stuff. But anyway, he says, like, one of the biggest needs we have is recognition. And so I was thinking about that a lot and how, because I wrote these articles for Meridian magazine that they published a while back, and I wrote like 5 in a row because they were publishing, and I was just like, there's my name published in that magazine with my article. You know, I didn't get anything out of it other than that. But just, it was like, that's so cool. And so I can see why the stand-up would be so addictive, that you get that recognition. So we're going to shift gears now because we have to get to the elephant in the room, you know, topic, since you're on the LDS.
It's the topic of
Unmarried.
The name of the podcast.
Yes. So, because you are unmarried.
Yeah.
Right. You are. Yeah. And you have not been married before.
No,
right?
I have not.
And you're like late 30s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mid-singles, as we love to say. Do they say that out?
Yeah, mid-singles.
Though I love to just say single. I don't like to designate what kind of single I am.
It gets kind of screwy, actually, because, you know, these designations are so arbitrary. Right? Okay, so my mom is single now as well. Yeah. And so there's these events or activities for all singles, right? So who do you think I run into at the all singles? Oh, wow, your mom. That's crazy. Oh, my words. You guys should have seen that compassionate look, but Steve's face. So, yeah, I get to go to the singles things and run into my mom. Hi, Mom, if you listen. Hey, Mom. And it's a little awkward. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway, so first of all, Jane said that back in the day when you were at BYU Hawaii, that your goal for dates was that you wanted to make your date laugh 75% of the time. Really? You don't remember that? No. I had a percentage. That's funny. Does that sound accurate, or you think it's just making it up? No, that sounds like something I would have said. And do you think that's still the case now? I guess I don't even think about it now. That's what I was thinking. I bet you that was back before he was a comedian and he was still trying to get those laughs. Yeah, and I bet you he's getting laughs on in other places now. So it seems like it would be counterproductive to spend most of your date trying to make the other person laugh. There's a lot of time where people now, like, I'll meet people and they'll be like, "What do you do for work?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a comedian." Oh. Really? I don't see that. And you're like, "Oh, yeah, I guess." But, I mean, with anybody, it's like, I think they don't realize that when I say comedy is about connection, it's about me connecting to them, too. And I haven't opened up to them yet for whatever reason. Right. And, excuse me, granted, not like you're always on. I'm trying to get better at it, right? Just being like, assuming, oh, I'm a friend with this person or whatever. I think that's a good way to do it. But, I don't know. It takes a while. It takes work. We let our shy pride get in the way sometimes, and I definitely do that. Right. So you don't need to make your date laugh 75% of the time. No, probably not. I don't think so. So you're not engaged or in a committed, or I should say. No. All right, so never have done the engagement thing. Oh, really? We talked about that last night with the other comics, like. Because Alex is engaged right now, and he's going to get married next month. And it's awesome because I was with Alex. We were writing a commercial together, actually, when he first met this girl. Uh-huh. And it was just so cool to be able to go, wow, it's evolved into this, you know. But yeah, I've never been engaged, so, which I think is good. You think it's good? Well, in a weird way. I'd hate to be able to be like, I've been engaged but never married. I'm like, oh, that's heavy, man. That's right. Hard. Like you can't follow through or your stuff's always falling through. Yeah, I just think it'd be hard. I actually had a friend tell me once, I can't remember where I read this, or someone told me that their dad, who was a widower, would go out and date women and get engaged really quickly over and over again.
Wow.
So he said that every time the woman would change after the engagement, after the ring was on her finger. And I'm like, I don't know what to think about that. But
interesting.
That's not, you're the opposite, so you're not.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the formula to success yet, but I don't know.
So we were talking before about how, and I've said this on my podcast, people that know me have heard this a gazillion times, but I have like a fear of failure and of success in the relationship thing.
I think that's healthy to recognize, and I think I for sure have that as well. Like, yeah, we were talking about that before. I tried to, the fear of failure and success is definitely there.
It's like no matter what you do, you're going to mess it up.
Yeah.
Or either they're not going to like you, which is bad, or they are going to like you, which could be bad.
It could be bad. Well, and it's interesting because I think when you start to succeed, sometimes I know this with guys especially, is like when they start to succeed, then it's like, oh, well, maybe not. Maybe I'm not as interested as I thought I was, you know? And I remember one of my roommates years ago, and of course he made it through this phase and got married to the girl, and they have beautiful kids, you know? But he was dating this girl, and then they got engaged, and I remember him saying to me, sometimes I wonder, you know, is this the right thing? Is this my girl? And I remember being like, yes, duh, dude, she's amazing. This is your girl. And, but of course you have to come to that conclusion yourself. And it's like, he of course did. I think even in that conversation he did. He was like, yeah.
So you helped him to get there.
Nah, I think he got there himself for sure. But,
do you do a lot of like one or two date relationships?
I don't know if I have a normal. I don't know. Like, I definitely notice that about 3 months, if I'm in a relationship, it can start to dip. And so that's when it seems like things change. But I don't know. I don't know that I have a method at all as far as, or a habit, I guess, as far as dating goes. Like, oh, he goes on 1-2 dates and then that's it. I want to try to give everyone a chance and try to focus on all the good things. And,
do you ever think you self-sabotage?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because what we were talking about at the start, where the realization of your own self-worth and stuff like that, that really has been a recent development in my life. And to be honest, when it happened to me, when I went through this realization, I felt like a new person. I was talking to my mom about it and was like, I feel like I am rebaptized was the word that I used. And just, I feel different. And so it's funny because like when I'm talking about habits and things that or not even habits, but behaviors that I've had in the past, I definitely feel like, oh yeah, I did do that. And I can kind of laugh at it and go, that's not really me now. So I know definitely in the past at 3 months I would usually freak out. I meet with a life coach. My life coach was like, I think it's because you were getting bored and that scares you more than anything.
I totally get that. That's the kiss of death.
Yeah.
That's the kiss.
Yeah.
You need someone that's dynamic enough to keep you interested.
If you feel like, and it was because she said it was because I was dating girls that were very much alike like me. And that sounds interesting because we oftentimes go, well, she or he was very much like me and we liked the same things, and I'll never find somebody with that same matching components again. I guess I'm speaking in crash and burn scenarios. But the interesting thing is my life coach is very like, oh, you don't really necessarily need to find your clone out there. You want to find someone who complements you. So she had me go down a list of things. I listed traits, all of my traits.
And now you're looking for the opposite? No, just kidding.
And she says, so list all your traits, make 3 columns. Your traits, the opposite of those traits, and then the traits that would complement those. So, for example, if I started the list and said, I have a sense of humor. And then the opposite is someone who doesn't necessarily have a sense of humor or is very serious. The complement to someone with a sense of humor isn't necessarily somebody who also has a sense of humor. I guess sense of humor is kind of a vague term. But she said it would be like someone who likes to laugh, which I guess you could say has a sense of humor, really. But
right, they're just not funny. They don't need to be funny to appreciate funny.
Right. And that is a very synergistic relationship. There's a push-pull there, and it's fun. And she said that is actually kind of the more healthy relationship, is one where you are both giving and getting at the same time and constantly serving each other. That's another concept that I'm trying to implement more in my life. And this will sound counterintuitive, but the concept of having people serve me. I tend to have the habit of being like, I got to serve people, and I think I scare a lot of girls that I'm interested in away. I scare them away because I try to do too much and be too much for them. Which is nice
in the beginning, but can become a little bit.
Yeah, it's much. Overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let me breathe here.
Well, that makes sense what your life coach is saying, because when I think about my own life as well, I'm not very patient, so I really would like a patient guy to kind of counterbalance that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so, I don't need someone who's funny necessarily, but to riff off of would be fun.
Yeah.
But all those things where I'm not terribly strong, it'd be nice to have someone that is strong.
Right.
In those areas, because otherwise you're, it's almost dysfunctional, I think, to be with someone who's too much like you.
Yeah, it is.
And especially you'll find out when you're a parent, you want someone that can be strong when you're weak, and vice versa.
Oh man.
You got a tag team,
that is something that I know I'm always looking for, and I'm always thinking of parenting a little bit, because I know that I'm a little bit too goofy and way too soft. So
you're going to need a strong woman.
Someone who's a little stronger. Yeah. Because I just know it I don't know it with kids, but I know it with dogs. This is funny, but I love...
They're the same. Right?
They're pretty much the same thing, right? Yeah. I love dogs, and I don't ever... Anytime I've had a pet dog, I never discipline. I only love. And you end up with this dog who's kind of a butthole because he's... doesn't obey your rules, because he's like, you're only fun, dude. Let's just do what we want, right?
You want me to do what? You don't want me to go to the bathroom in the house? What? Come on,
that's not fun.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so that's going to take me to my last question, or just quickly tell me pros and cons of dating a comedian.
Pros and cons. Pro definitely is you're going to laugh.
Yeah.
Con, if you're dating, I think there's a lot of comedians out there who are not full-time comedians. And so that's great. I think that's where you get all the pros. If you want to date a full-time comedian, the con is they're gone a lot.
Yeah.
And you are going to be in a long-distance relationship. So you have to be able to be fine when they're gone.
Yeah, how are you going to do that marriage-wise and parenting?
It is something that I'm very considerate of, because I've had a hard time with when I am dating somebody. I've known that they've not liked it.
Right.
They're like, you are gone, and people don't even know we're dating because you're gone.
Yeah, if they didn't like it, then you would know it's not a very good relationship. If they did like it, it would not be a very good relationship.
Yeah.
You're leaving? Yeah.
I love it when you're gone. I hate it when you're here. Yeah, I don't... it's something I always ask other performers. and other. I mean, I think some of it is also like you have to find someone with a similar lifestyle. I've found that I tend to connect with people who do similar things, like flight attendants always are on the road and they kind of get this weird lifestyle.
Right.
And so different people have like, it's attractive to different people. Some people love to always be together. And obviously with that person, a relationship wouldn't work out. So
you'd have to find different ways to be together.
yeah, I think now it is easier to connect with people than ever. I mean, you can, well, I think of my Alex, right? He's sort of my roommate on this tour. And he's FaceTiming with her. He's doing Marco Polos back and forth. They're talking all the time. And so, yeah, he's on the road, but it's still, they're still having the, how was your day talk? And they had that yesterday. And because I'm 12, we play video games at the end of the night after the show. And I was sitting there waiting for Alex. I was like, oh, he's on the phone. And then he was doing that, which is great. And I want him to do that, have that good connection with his fiancée.
Is she French?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Only fiancés are.
Right.
But I would say the pros and cons of dating someone who is a comedian with quotation marks, maybe not full-time, is I think it's really healthy to be able to laugh at all the things. So I think it'll be able to help you get through life. I think
you're able to laugh at yourself and your situation, that's definitely helpful.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that same thing can also be your con, is when they laugh at all the
Why
things.
are you laughing at me? Don't laugh at me.
This is not funny to me yet. Yeah.
Too soon. Right.
The too soon thing.
Well, my 10-year-old, I was talking to her about this last night before she finally went to bed. And by the way, when you have kids, you'll have a lot more material. Believe me, it'll come to you whether you want it or not. But I was asking her, I said, well, do you think I should ask him pros and cons? And she said, well, one of the cons would be you kind of feel like you're in his shadow a little bit. So
wow, she's very mature.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
And I would never want that.
Right.
That is, and that's where it is kind of funny, because this job fakes importance.
Right.
Whereas there's no, I mean, everybody's important and everyone is critically important. And so
it's just that you're high profile.
It's this high profile. And I've had other friends who are comics who were dating comics who it didn't work out because they, had that hard time, because it was like, oh, well, he or she are getting more attention or whatever.
Right.
And
so you have to find someone that's okay with not being in the spotlight.
Yeah. Or someone that, I can share it with me, or share the load. Jim Gaffigan, his wife, writes for him.
Oh, she does? I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And since Jim Gaffigan doesn't know me at all, I can say this. You look at his comedy before, it's not that great.
Really?
No, he became Jim Gaffigan, the powerhouse of comedy, who is probably one of, if not the biggest name in stand-up, right now. He's definitely in the top 5, I think. Before it wasn't that.
Huh.
Before his
So we needed a good woman
to
come in and give him some material.
Kids. She did. Oh, she did
probably
both.
half his jokes are.
They have a ton of kids. Yeah.
That's really cool. So basically, what you're saying is you need to get married, and then your career will take off like a rocket.
If I follow the Jim Gaffigan route, that would be exactly it. Right.
Awesome. Well, I think we are about out of time, but I thank you very much for coming out and doing my little podcast. I might have 10 or 15 listeners. I don't know. But
that's fantastic.
You will reach every single one.
I love it.
We really enjoyed your show. Everybody had a blast last night. So where are you going next?
Tonight, I guess you did say this comes around real fast. Tonight I'm in Tempe, Arizona at the...
Sun Devils.
Yeah.
That's my alma mater.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what I said when I texted you before. That's my old stomping ground. So
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
And where do you go after that?
So the Tempe Improv tonight. I'm going to be in Provo at Drybar this Friday and doing 2 shows, 7 and 9:30, I think. And then actually Saturday I'll be at BYU, Idaho.
Oh, awesome.
I'm opening for my buddy Ryan there.
Oh, wow.
And,
That would be a great show.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. He told me yesterday there's already 3,000 tickets sold.
Wow.
Which I was like, that's
I'll
insane.
have to ask some of my students if they're going to see you.
I think that's
Oh, they're
probably
great.
one of the biggest shows I've ever. Well, and he's doing a student show Friday, but I couldn't do Friday because I already have my own show.
Right.
So they should go see him Friday.
Wow. So I'll bet you guys pack them in Provo and in Rexburg. I mean, I can't imagine you not.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever done a show for that many people.
Wow.
I've done 2,500, but our capacity is 4,000. So we'll see. I'm a little like, I hope all my jokes translate to the bigger audience. It's a different feel. So
Are
we'll
you a
see.
little bit nervous about that, or?
I'm conscious of it. I definitely am trying to figure out what jokes will do the connection thing that I'm talking about.
Right.
That I find to be so important.
Right.
Yeah. And I already have a few. I think actually it'll be really pretty easy because it's such I know that crowd.
Yeah, it's your crowd.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm sure it'll be great. So best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Keep me posted, if anything big happens.
Yeah, well there.
Next time you're in town, you'll have to sit down with me again.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, so that was LDS Unmarried podcast with your host, Annette Bybee, and my guest, Steve Soelberg. And you can find me on AnnetteTalks.com. Please go there, comment, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. I'm sure you loved everything Steve said, but anything that I said you didn't like, or anything you want to hear me talk about. And you can also find me iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Thank you for listening.
I'm gonna bloom where I'm planted. I won't take things for granted. Come what may, bring it on. I'm gonna love it.